This is me as a businessman. I'm a neighbor, and there's nothing business about being a neighbor, but knowing how to resolve conflict and arguments amongst your neighbors, where you're diverse and you really don't give a fuck who your neighbors are. You're indiscriminate. You're willing to have any neighbor as your neighbor, but it's not me to delegate and run management issues with the neighbors. It's for landlords, whether they know how to run their property or run it well, whether they do or don't, whether they're playing favoritisms or giving fucking privileges and benefits to others. That's all on the landlords. And people don't think that they know the moral ethics of the landlords, but these landlords ain't very ethical. They're being racially prejudiced and biased towards other tenants, and they're losing value in their homes, where they're causing people to destroy property and violate the tenants in their home where they don't live comfortably, where it gives them a bad rep in their community of people for other renters to rent out. Uh, people move in, they have the money, they have the social class, they have the education, they have whatever they have to move into these properties, but they don't want to pick sides or be judgmental amongst the neighbors, or they choose one side and benefit the other side when it's a group of people going against one family. And it's not just a group of people, it's a group of racist people going against a certain race of people, because of the politics and the way the country is being ran. uh, so they're psychically motivated by the president and his political speeches, where they want to do harm to their neighbors and not respect their home and their value of the home, and it's not even about even affording the rent. It's allowing underprivileged people to disturb the peace in the homes of the privileged people with more money, more power, and so on and so forth. But they're immoral and they really don't give a fuck what happens to them, because they're underprivileged. So they're using these underprivileged people to attack the tenants in their homes, where they don't live too well and they don't live too happy, and they're just spoiling the living in their homes. Uh, so yeah, I mean that's just it's just me as a businessman, on landlordships and tenants, and dealing with them tenants and stuff. Besides, just being a moral neighbor and being a moral man, where you get along with them, you work with them, you see eye to eye as a Christian or a Catholic. I mean, I know what their religion is, but as a Jewish man, I practice three-fourths faith. I'm a Jewish, I'm a Catholic, I'm a Christian, and I'm a Mormon, and we all believe in the same thing. We all believe in love that neighbor. We believe in respecting that neighbor, getting along with that neighbor, not separating yourself from that neighbor, working with that neighbor, keeping an eye out for your neighbor. And we also believe in an eye for a neighbor, a home for the neighbor, So, besides that, we all believe in the same things for, religions that I practice. I don't know what they practice, if they're Muslims or Islamic people or whatever, and what they believe in as neighbors. But we never did nothing wrong to violate these people in the first place. As a Christian or a Catholic, we just moved on in. They got jealous. They took offense of us, and then they started to disrespect us and violate us in our home. Even after voting for a black president, instead of rolling out the red carpet for us, thanking us and wishing us well as neighbors, they decided to go against us and start a beef and pick a war with us because they thought they had the juice to do it. They thought they wanted to power trip, and they thought they had the power to go to war with their neighbors, where they started to violate and pick beefs with their neighbors for some crazy odd reason. I mean, I wouldn't know why, but I mean, apparently they're mentally ill or something, Well, we're supposed to be living as mental patients. This is not psychotherapy now. I went from business to psychotherapy. Well, we're supposed to be a mentally ill family, but we're stable and we're medicated, and we're seeing shrinks where we're treated very well, where where our mind is sound, where you got crazy abnormal neighbors making you uncomfortable in your home, violating your house and violating the issues in your home, and so on and so forth, where they're deranged and they're demented, and you're living as good as sound as can possibly be, where they're fucking with the sanity of your home, just to endanger you, just to threaten you, and just to violate your peace at home. Besides psychotherapy, the criminal justice side of it, where a cop comes in, you call the police to maintain the peace, so that they're not laying physical harm on them. The police don't want to do nothing because they don't want to get involved with, they believe the neighbors should work their problems out and get along well. Well, me as a cop personally, if I was a cop, if I were to respond to these issues, I'll arrest the violator. The one fucking violating the tenants is gonna go to jail, and they're gonna get arrested, and they're gonna end up in jail for 6 months, 7 months, 8 months, until the judge sees them free. For violating the peace in their home and violating the tenants, where they move from one place to another and they continue the assault, the attack amongst their people, where they feel that they're privileged or obliged to fuck with their neighbors. So that's how I handle it as a cop. As a lawyer, you could sue them for all their worth, the property. But we have a morality belief that you don't sue your neighbor because you love your neighbor. Where they have a crazy relationship style where they want power with the neighbor, and you don't want to give them the power because the only power they want is to assault their neighbors, and we're not giving them that power. The only power that we believe is love that neighbor, and that's the ultimate power as fucking neighbors with power and love that neighbor. So I mean, that's the matters and the issues resolved in this community, from the suburbs to, I guess, the rural areas. I mean, that's the matters on how it goes. But they're still never at peace. These people. They're never content with themselves. They're never, they're always, upset. They don't look for work. They sit at home all day. They expect people to feed them. They expect people to give them the shirt off their back to please them, to make them happy, and nothing's making them, seem well. So I mean, they sit at home. They get saddened or whatever, and they just start to attack their neighbors. They blame their neighbors for it, and they start to assault their neighbors for their fucking sadness, for their misery, for their faults in life, and they try to go at it with their neighbors for no fucking particular reason. The neighbor has done nothing wrong for them. The neighbor apparently believes in sacrifices, where they know they must sacrifice a few things, and we were living downstairs, where our dog likes to run around, and apparently they don't like the noise we make upstairs, so they like to dish it back at you. And then they sit there fucking disrupting the peace in your home and all kinds of shit. And that's what it is with these tenants. It's all the same race. I mean, whether different Kenyans, Nigerians, or Ethiopians, whatever, it's all the same race. They're all African American to me, and they're the ones all violating the people. They're for no reason. They have families, and they believe they're the good ones because they have children, and you have no children. So they believe they're the honorable ones, or the moral ones in the relationship, when they teach their children to slam doors on your elderly mother's head. She's just laying in bed and they're slamming doors on her head, trying to make her catch a fucking stroke or something, send her to the ER. And they raise their children to do wrong, where they raise their children to stomp on the floor instead of teaching them not to stomp and to walk lightly on the ground and stuff like that. They raise their children, and they raise their children to not to love that neighbor, but to do harm and to be immoral towards their neighbors. That's just the type of parenting they have, these people. Besides that, yeah, we're just sitting at home. My mother works. I cannot get no work. I was working at Burger King before the police came in and got me fired. They told my employer to fire me, so they fired me. I became an EMT. I'm trying to get certified as an EMT so I can work as an EMT. I'm a student. I study, at the university, and that's my situation. I'm trying to become a police officer. I failed the police exam, and they're postponing the police exam for a while. They're postponing the police exam for a while, so I mean, I'm just waiting. They say it's gonna be in November. They said it was supposed to be around the corner. It still hasn't happened. So I'm trying to become a police officer. I gotta take it more serious and to pass the test. But time is sliding underneath the bridge, like water underneath the bridge. But it's by the end of it all, it's gonna be over, and then you just you're gonna have nothing to answer to, nothing to look forward to, nothing to hold in your hand, and it's just gonna be gone, and it's just 4 years wasted. Well, I'm supposed to get my degree from the community college, they're still holding on to it, and they still don't want to give me my degree. It's a small business degree. I've been working on it for 7 years, and I completed every class. I've been failed for the last 2 classes, about 4 or 5 times, and they still don't want to give me my degree. Because we're living underneath the Trump administration, and the Trump administration, they're trying to do we're trying to discriminate on Hispanics and minorities so they don't get ahead and surpass the Anglo race, so we fall back, and so on and so forth. And that's what they're doing in this administration. Besides anything else, my sister, we get along well. We had some arguments in the apartment complex from time to time, from place to place, but she's leveled out. She's good. She worked out her issues, and she's straight now. Where the neighbor wanted to pick a fight with her today. She wanted to square up with her. She went to make a complaint, and she was just trying to pick a fight with my sister, and that's just what's going on with me and my family. That's about it, my man.